It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
And welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Podcast, available on iHeartRadio every morning and also on Spotify and Apple and wherever you get your podcasts from. Here we are, a Friday morning, the last day for September for 2022. Don't know where the week has gone, but it's up. And coming up, we're going to be talking very shortly with Kevin Mason from Property Buyer, all about buying property in Newcastle and a couple of other areas this morning. And the luxury end of the market over the boom has seen, as you know, record prices paid, and in some cases astonishing amounts of money have changed hands for luxury properties. And on Monday, we're going to take a look at what is happening in that space of the luxury Sydney market with Monica Liu. In fact, Domain reported that more than 1,000 homes nationally sold for more than $10 million over the past 2 financial years. And Mossman was right there in amongst it. It had the most house sales above the $10 million mark last year. And Ray White economist Nerida Conisbee says that there was 561 houses sold for more than $10 million last financial year, and that is up from 449 on the previous year. So yes, the pandemic has been better than great for the luxury end of the market, particularly in Sydney.
It's your weekday real estate breakfast with news, interviews and predictions every morning on the Real Estate Podcast.
Well, next Tuesday, it is all happening again for young and old. What is it? It's another rate rise that is coming to a town near you. And people that I've spoken to over the last couple of weeks seem to think that there is more of a chance this time round for a 25 basis points rise rather than a 50. But where it lands is anybody's guess. I'm going to go with 25 basis points, but you know, I've got a 50% chance of getting it wrong. It would be nice, wouldn't it, to have a bit of a breather, have a 25 instead of a 50, but we will find out soon enough on Tuesday. Hey, if you're celebrating your birthday for the 30th of September, you are celebrating with Martina Hingis, the ex-professional tennis player. I think she got stabbed too, didn't she? She is turning 41 today, and Max Verstappen, the man that is taking it to McLaren in the F1. He, of course, driving for Red Bull. He is turning 24 years young today. And if you're looking for a movie over the weekend, a movie I was watching last night, I haven't got to the end of it. It's called Blonde. It is the Marilyn Monroe story. Just when you thought you knew all that there was to know about Marilyn Monroe, a whole lot of new information comes to light. So I can definitely recommend Blonde if you want to catch a movie over the weekend on Netflix.
It's your real estate podcast for breakfast. It's the Main Centre Forecast with PRD, selling smarter every day.
Let's head around Australia and have a look at our weather on this Friday morning, and grab the raincoat if you're heading out the door today. From Sydney, expecting showers and a high of 21 degrees. In Melbourne, should be mainly dry, partly cloudy, but a high of 19 degrees. Brisbane, mostly sunny with blue skies, 27. And in Perth today, also sunshine and 29 degrees on your Friday morning.
We talk with leading property commentators with analysis, predictions, forecasts and what's trending every morning from 6:30.
And this morning we're going to be talking about Newcastle, Hunter, the Port Macquarie and Lake Macquarie regions, which is located just 1.5 hours north of Sydney and contains some really beautiful spots where you can find an idyllic lifestyle for less than half the price of Sydney. Now, you might have heard of places like Merewether Beach or the holiday enclaves of Salamander Bay and Fingal Bay. And then there's the luscious acreages and the stunning wine country around Port Colborne. Now, many people have fled the cities and are now enjoying an enviable lifestyle in these areas. And to find out more on what's happening with this real estate, I am joined this morning by Kevin Mason, in for Rich Harvey, Principal Buyers Advocate from propertybuyer.com.au. And a very good morning to you, Kevin, and welcome to the Real Estate Breakfast.
Oh, Craig, that's a very warm welcome. Thank you so much. A pleasure to be here.
All right, so as I mentioned at the top, we've got some fantastic locations, properties like in Newcastle and the Hunter region. So perhaps for the listeners this morning, tell us some of the key attraction for buyers looking to buy in these regions.
It's broken up into a number of regions: Newcastle, Lake Macquarie, Hunter, Port Stephens to the north, as you mentioned, areas like Fingal Bay, Nelson Bay. Look, it's just a wonderful lifestyle here. So there's great schools, there's fantastic beaches. It's a diverse economy as well, a wide range of employment. Look, it's just got a lovely, relaxed feel. I know when I have a client that comes up to the area who hasn't been, the comments are always, wow, I could live here. It's got a great energy, great vibe. It's very relaxed. And I think that's the big draw card. And certainly we're seeing a large increase in internal net migration to regional areas such as Newcastle, Lake Macquarie, Hunter and the Port Stephens area.
Yeah, okay. And what type of property, let's say around 750K, and you're wanting to buy in Newcastle, and then maybe have a look at the 1.2 million as well? What can you buy for those two price points?
Yeah, that's right. Look, Newcastle CBD itself, you've got high price points there in the city, but to be honest, you can be 5 or 10 minutes out. You can be picking up either an apartment in the CBD, or you could be picking up a townhouse in the middle ring areas, or a house, sort of getting up into the sort of the 1 to 1.2, some of the, the more premium quality areas. But only 15 minutes to 20 minutes from the CBD, areas such as Katara, New Lambton, your middle ring suburbs, you can pick up a modern or near new townhouse duplex, sort of ranging in the 8s and 9s, a decent quality house, you're getting up into the 1.2. There are a number of other suburbs adjoining some of the more blue chip areas where you can still get into, a good quality house. So the old 700, 750, or the 750 price point is the old 500 entry price point, but you can certainly still pick up a house in the 7s and 8s.
And perhaps let's have a look at the difference in costings between houses versus apartments in these regions.
Yeah, Craig, that's a great question. Let's look at an area, say New Lambton, for example, which is in your middle ring suburb, very popular for families. Beautiful parks. You've got Lambton Park. You've got Blackbutt Reserve, which is a stunning area to take the kids and families. You're looking at a medium house price there, Craig, of around the 1.2 mark. But medium apartments, you're looking around the 800 mark, okay? So most suburbs here have got their own little village area where you've got your shops and cafes. There's a very strong cafe, restaurant culture here, very social, very good value pockets here as well.
Okay, and let's have a look at the rental market. There might be some investors out there thinking, okay, this is a region where I might like to invest. So let's have a look at the vacancy rates and also the typical yield on apartments and houses.
Look, it's been interesting. The Newcastle vacancy rates literally dropped to anywhere between 0% to 0.5% to 1% over the last couple of years, whereas it's interesting, we look at the Sydney CBD, it jumped up to about 16% during 2020. So vacancy rates are still very low. At the moment, they're ranging between 0.5% to 2%. You've got a very good selection of quality tenants here. Property managers have got the luxury of being very picky and choosy. So there's always a high number of applications to rental properties. The yields, the yields are always quite strong here. They generally range typically between 3 to 4%. They'll be lower for the high-end premium suburbs because you're buying prices higher. But there's areas where we can be finding a yield of between 4% to even 6%.
And what about affordable suburbs? Let's look at that affordability.
There is a number of areas which are currently affordable, but also there's a lot of up-and-coming type areas. I lived in Sydney for a short period of time. I was able to look at up-and-coming areas many years ago, areas like an Erskineville, St Peters. I look at similar areas here to Newcastle in terms of infrastructure, redevelopment, rezoning. So we look at those sort of areas which are going to become popular and are affordable now. So you can buy a property that's $50,000, $100,000 less in the adjoining suburb. I guess it depends on budget. There's a number of areas at the moment which we'd be looking at. You've got Mount Hutton, Cardiff, Wallsend, Glendale. There's some of the better valued areas. Fletcher, there's another area as well that's a more established area where you can get a more modern property, and plenty of new areas that are up and coming as well.
All right, so that gives everybody a bit of a breakdown on the Newcastle and the Hunter region. Kevin, thank you for coming on to the Real Estate Podcast this morning.
My pleasure, Craig. Thank you so much.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.